Great. So, welcome to Coffee and Curtains. This week in our Work series, we are talking about making your home office work for you. We know so many of you are working from home and will be working from home. So, we thought this would be a great one in addition to what we did, 2 weeks ago, where we talked about setting up school space. So, I am Rebecca Munster. I'm from Rebecca Munster Designs. We specialize in window treatments, upholstery, and soft furnishings, and we are in the Washington, D.C. area. And my partner in crime is...
I am Debbie Hall from Designer Draperies and Innovation. We specialize in window treatments, bedding, and upholstery, and we're located in South Jersey, in the Morristown and Cherry Hill area. But we service all of New Jersey. We service PA, the shore. We're all over the place. Anyway, what Rebecca was saying was last week, that school Zoom that we did was phenomenal, and I got so much positive, great feedback from it. People really loved it, and so that's on the YouTube channel. So hop on and check it out. There were some great tips. Not only was it Rebecca and myself, but we also had a guest school teacher / designer on with us, and helped kind of put things in perspective for all of us.
Absolutely. All right, so getting into today, working from home. I think for many folks, maybe you've always worked from home. I know I've been working from home for almost the last 10 years. Almost two of those years were in the corporate world before I switched over to having my own business. So for many of us, working from home is the old hat, although there are some new challenges now when the rest of the family is also home with you, and maybe you were used to having the space all to yourself before now. For some of you, you may be temporarily working from home or trying to get back into the office soon, or you're spending partial weeks at home and partial weeks in the office as your kind of different offices are setting up different scenarios for their employees. And then for many, I think we're kind of realizing that working from home may be your new normal. And I was watching the Today Show this morning, and they actually had a whole thing on this, and they were talking about how some businesses are really anxious to get back into the office, and they're trying to come up with creative ways, and other businesses are realizing that they're actually doing it really well and it's totally working for them. So why have that extra expense of a big office and all the expenses that come along with it if they can make this work? And so working from home may be the new normal for many people. And I think for a lot of us, I think we all are really aware that as we get into cold and flu season, we probably will be spending more and more time in our homes, because it's going to be really hard to differentiate between the sniffles and COVID. And in an abundance of caution, you will probably spend more time working at home than you have been in the past. Just those of you that raise a hand, like, who has always worked from home? Yeah, Karen. And who is just temporarily working from home right now for a little while so you can get back into the office? Okay. So I think we probably cover the gamut, and all the people out there and those watching on Facebook right now. So we wanted to give you some really fun ideas on ways to deal with having an office in your home.
Rebecca, hold on. Before you jump into that, I've got a fourth one to put in. And that's the people that have always worked at home. Like you've been there for 10 years. I've been working from home for like 25 years. But then we have the spouses or the children that are now working from home. So not only do you have yourself, but you also have others that all of a sudden you're catering to. You no longer have the house to yourself the way you did. Which to me sometimes, that can be a struggle. Struggle.
Well, yes, that's why I am in my dining room now instead of my office, because I gave it up to my husband. All of a sudden, there was two of us vying for space. So I think the first big question you have when you're trying to set up at home is where is your office going to be located? Where can you place it? And different homes and different scenarios probably provide different options. And I think, the the first and easiest one is, do I have a dedicated room for my home office, right? Like that's the ideal situation, right? And it could be a room in your basement. It could be an extra bedroom that nobody's been using. It could be an actual office. A lot of newer homes are built with offices. Like I mentioned, in our case, my husband really needed more privacy than I did for my business in dealing with his clients. So he's taken over the home office, the dedicated office space, and I've turned the dining room into my office. But having a dedicated room is really nice. It's nice to have a door, like especially when there's so many of you at home, right, Debbie? Debbie's laughing because
did you just see my door open and close and someone come in? This is already the second or third time that I've said, okay, we're online now, we're taping, and people are coming in and out, and that's with two doors.
Right. So, it's also nice to have a dedicated space, because then your work can be in your workspace, and you can close the door at the end of the day or whatever, and go and be in your family space.
It's very much a mental thing, so that you do have separation from your work, because it is so easy to be doing something and, oh, I just remembered this. Let me, when you start back into work again, or hold on, let me just do something. And all of a sudden you're sitting back and doing work. So if you have an office that you physically have to walk into, as opposed to just always having that piece of paper that you're grabbing next to you, it gives you the space that you need, so that you're not working 24/7, because that's not going to work for anybody, for your bosses, for your business. You need to have, and for your health, you need to have.
Yeah. Another good option really is a guest bedroom, right? So, you're probably not having a lot of overnight guests right now, I'm going to guess, with COVID. And if you are, it's probably quick little visits here and there. So putting a desk in a guest bedroom, again, because it gives you that separate space. It's not part of your family space where you want to relax and spend time kind of re-energizing for the next business day. It's a separate room. There's usually a door. And I wouldn't be, if it's a tighter guest room and you've got a dresser in there, like, don't be afraid to get rid of the dresser and replace it with a desk, right? Your guests don't need a dresser when they come to visit.
Or pull in a folding table, or a laptop table on wheels. You don't even, I think a lot of people get stuck in the, oh, I need to have a desk, I need to have this, I need to have that. No, there's plenty of ways of making it work if it's temporary. If it's something that you're going to be doing full time, if this is going to be your new norm, then you do want to start putting more thought into that actual area as a permanent space.
Right. That you're so right, Debbie. And I think that's a really good point is, I think in March, when all this happened, we've all assumed temporary, but even if it's going to be another 6 months, you may want to invest in some things. I will tell you, like, I'm sitting in a dining room chair, and I'm getting ready to move my office because I need like a real work chair. Sitting in a dining room chair, my back kills me when I'm sitting here all day. So understanding kind of how long is this going to be, and is it worth it to invest in a desk chair that I will pull up to my dining room, and it may not look like the fanciest thing in the world, but my back will feel better. And just knowing that maybe it's time to make that investment because it's going to be a little bit longer than we thought it was going to be. All right. So another one, and I've seen a lot of people do this, and I'm sitting here in my dining room, I've done it, is turning your formal living room or dining room into office space. That is space. It's usually good space. I'll tell you, my dining room does feel a little bit more separated from the rest of my house. So even though I don't have doors on it, I do feel a sense of separation. I can kind of step away from it we're not throwing any dinner parties right now. So, and I actually have a very large table that we use for our kitchen table. So we still have a place as a family to gather and have meals together, and we're not missing out on it. And so does my dining room look as amazing as it looked prior to this? No, but it works. And I think in a lot of cases, there's a lot of homes are built with formal living rooms that just have a single entryway into them. I mean, you could even put French doors on that entryway if you thought that this was going to be longer term and you wanted an opportunity to open and close doors. But I think a lot of times we think of, some people feel like formal living rooms and dining rooms are sort of wasted space. Like, don't let it be wasted space anymore, right? Turn it into a productive, and you can still make it. I mean, that's a pretty fancy looking office. You can still make it look like a pretty office. Even
so I've got full disclosure here, and that is for probably the past 20 years, our dining room was switched over into my office because I needed the space, and I refuse to be in the basement. I need natural light. That's just me as a person. I need natural light, and I also need to be connected to people. So our dining room was switched over into a formal office, so we don't have a dining room. Our living room, actually, within the past probably 5 years ago, was turned into my husband's office. So we have a door leading from the kitchen into the dining room, and then we also have pocket doors leading from the front foyer into the living room. So we do share an open space because I think you just saw them walk in. So we do still share an open space, but otherwise it's working for us. We've got a large enough family room, and we actually have a sofa and chairs in our kitchen because it's so large. So we find those are the areas that we congregate to the most anyway. Yep.
Yeah. So now you're actually using that space in a productive way that might kind of sit empty a lot.
Right.
In any other time. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I have not hated being in my dining room, to be honest with you. It's kind of a nice little corner over here. I like it. And yeah, we're getting lots of use out of this room. So I think there are some things, so those are just like, and obviously, if you've got a room in your basement, I think natural light's an important thing. If natural light's really important to you, then you may not want to be in the basement, or maybe you've got a basement where you get a ton of natural light, like that works as well. If you feel like you have to share the space, I would say if you don't have any type of dedicated space and you don't have a formal space you could turn into it. Debbie, I don't know how you feel, but I would say try to find a corner or a place where you can have a little bit of separation between work life and real life, like family life, right? Because
absolutely,
if you can't walk away from it and it's always there sort of staring at you, that it can become overwhelming. I know my husband, when he worked from home, he didn't realize, as much as it was nice not to have the commute anymore, that commute allowed him to turn off work and turn on home, right? And now he didn't have that anymore. And we would both be sitting here working, and all of a sudden we'd be like, oh my gosh, it's almost 8 o'clock at night. We haven't fed the children. We haven't gotten on with life yet. And it's getting dark. And I think that if you can carve out a space, even if you don't have a dedicated room, that is away from where you do your family stuff, that will allow you to have some better separation.
And I'm going to throw in a little caveat on that also. A lot of people, especially ones in smaller apartments, in tighter spaces, don't have the opportunity and have to work out of their bedroom. I am a person that cannot work out of my bedroom because I need the separation there. That's my relaxation spot. That's my, it's for me and for myself and my husband. And if I had work sitting there on the desk all the time, my mind would go there. I'd be going to bed at night and I'd be looking over there and thinking about what needed to be done. Not only that, if I had to be up in my bedroom working every day, again, it kind of takes the relaxation out of it. So if you're able to do it in some place other than your bedroom, great. if you're not, and you have to do it in your bedroom, then hopefully you have the ability to close up shop and put things away. Close up your
Mm-hmm.
laptop, put it away, and some of those rolling carts, put your files and just kind of tuck it away so that you're not looking at it as you're getting ready for bed, or as you're getting even dressed in the morning. You need to have that wind down space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the things that we were talking about, in designing the workspace, reducing the clutter, helping yourself stay focused and creative.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca, you being a creative like me, it is not uncommon for me to have books all over the
Yeah.
place.
The
I'm
fabric
checking this
sample
swatch with
store.
that one. Yeah, and pulling out the hardware and pulling out things. And it's so easy for me to get up and take a break, leaving everything there. And I'm really trying more so to, clean everything up so that I can be focused and creative. I feel so much better and so much more productive when I'm going in and my desk is clean, as
Yes.
opposed to when I go in and I've got things stacked on top of each other. Yes, I know where it is,
Yeah.
but it still does not help me focus or be as creative as I should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, don't be afraid. I when I moved into the dining room, I realized I was going to need like some shelves so that I could put some bins and organize some things on them. And knowing this was not a permanent solution, this was temporary, I bought some inexpensive, I'm usually about, if you're going to buy furniture, invest in good stuff, but this is just to keep me organized in my temporary workspace. So I bought some inexpensive shelves and some, plastic bins, and it just helps to have a place that I can put things and keep them away and keep my desk area clear. So don't be afraid to like make those smaller investments, and even, getting some less expensive things that just help to keep you organized and keep that clutter at bay, because it happens fast. You're taking meeting notes, you're doing this, you're doing that. Next thing you know, you've got a pile and it starts to feel really cluttered.
So
I think,
something else. Oh,
mm-hmm.
go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say something else is just surrounding yourself with things that you like, that inspire you, that that make you happy. I actually, some of the items that I have are, as I'm looking right now, believe it or not, ceramics that my boys made for me years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They make me feel good, and they're kind of funky. Let me see if one that I can grab. Just a little tray that my one son made me.
Mm-hmm.
But it always makes me, they make me feel good. So that, as well as design inspiration, I like to have that also around me, just so that I can be creative.
Yeah, if you think about it, if you were going into an office, most offices, they've taken some thought into paint colors and paint and trying to make it a soothing space, right? Often they'll have like motivational sayings on the walls and things like that. There's a reason they do that, right? We spend a lot of time at work. It should be pleasant. So whether it's a temporary home office you're building or permanent, like, figure out a way to pull in some of those things that will make you enjoy working in that space.
Yeah, makes a big difference. Sometimes even as you're focused, as you're frustrated, the focus isn't there, and you look up and you read something, and it's, that's always there, but it's positive. It's like, yeah, okay, time to kick back in. We already talked about folding table and laptop carts. The laptop carts on wheels are great in the respect that you can kind of change your scenery if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, it's, if it's nice outside and you've got your books and things on a cart, you can wheel it outside or into another room just for kind of a fresh change. Make sure that you do have access to outlets. Don't know about you, but
yes,
I've been in the middle of conferences and my computer's died on me, and I'm quick scrambling trying to get it plugged in.
Yes.
And
yes. And we all have lots of things to plug in right now, right?
Like,
our phones, our tablets, our our AirPods, our everything needs to be charged. So having some sort of an outlet and some sort of charging station so that you can stay charged up all day is always good. Um,
So Rebecca,
Natural light.
yeah, I was going to say, you've got natural light behind you.
I do. I
I have
do.
it right in front of me, and then I have it behind me. Uh,
Hmm.
Besides being a creative and needing to have natural light to match colors
Hmm.
and things like that, I don't know about you, but I definitely, the change of season, things like that, light affects me. So
Yep.
I like
Yep.
to have, and it's crazy, we specialize in window treatments, but for me, I like to have everything as open as possible during the day. And then, I can adjust depending on the lighting situation.
Yep.
Just makes me feel good.
Yeah, and I think natural light is impactful to a lot of people. And I would say, if you're coming from an office environment, maybe you were in a cubicle farm and you didn't get the natural light, pick a spot at home where you can have natural light because it really does impact how you feel about the day and just getting to soak in that extra vitamin D and look outside. I do. I think it is impactful.
Yeah, that's one of the
Um,
bonuses of being at home. Not only do you not have the commute, but you also have a corner office if you want one.
right. And it also is nice if you have windows because you can let fresh air in when it's a nice day, and things like that. So there's plenty of positives, I think, to thinking about working from home as well. One of the things that's going to be challenging, especially for all of us as our kiddos start to get online with us, is making sure that our Wi-Fi is ready. And we talked about that 2 weeks ago with the when we were talking about the kids at home. Because I think so many of us had Wi-Fi's that were just fine when we were just like scrolling around in the evenings or watching a movie, and now all of a sudden that we're like pounding on it all day, and there's more than one person pounding on it all day. Um, Often our routers need to be upgraded and things like that.
And you also have to keep that in mind when you're choosing the location of your office. Because if your
Hmm.
router is all the way in the bottom left-hand room of your house and you're all the way in the top right-hand room, you might not have good reception.
Right.
You,
So
you may
either,
need to boost it or something.
yeah,
So
getting
when
those
you're,
boosters and things are
yeah,
helpful.
when you're
Yeah.
looking into that, make sure that you're addressing that as well.
Yeah.
And then headphones. Uh, Headphones are great, especially for me. They're great if sometimes I'm listening to a webinar or talking with somebody, and there's a lot of distraction in the
Hmm.
household. Maybe I'm not in my office any longer, and I can put the headphones on so that I can hear what's going on and not be distracted.
Yeah, I love my AirPods because, like I said, I don't have doors in my office situation right now. And so when I have these in, I feel like it cuts down on the background noise. You guys don't hear as much of the background noise, and I can really hear you well because it's going straight into my ears.
I don't know if I can't remember if we put this further in the presentation. Yeah, we've got ring light elsewhere, don't we?
Yeah, yep,
In the
yep.
presentation. Okay, well then I'll wait.
All right. So when you're starting out, first thing you're gonna do is pick out where to work, and we've talked through kind of all of that. And then you need to start thinking about how you're gonna lay out that room. I picked a little example here. This is actually a client of mine that I was working with, and she had a basement room, and it's a walkout basement. This is a slider here, and she really wanted to make it an office space because this was actually pre-COVID, and she knew her husband was working from home more often. She'd work from home, and she just wanted a place that they could go when they worked from home that would be dedicated. They also have family that come in and visit sometimes, so they wanted it to also function as a guest bedroom along with an office because they often have family, and there is a full bath down in that basement, so they wanted it to serve double duty. So, in thinking through the layout, this actually is not the layout we ended up with, but we played around with it. And I would just encourage you to play around and think about your layout when you're doing it. We really wanted a large desk so you could spread out. It's always nice when you have room to spread out. When I first got kicked out of my office, do you like how I say that? I'm going to say that. I want to say it so Mark hears it, right? When Mark kicked me out of my office, I thought I was going to work out in one spot, and the desk space I had was like so little. And again, probably being creative like we are, I was like, I just felt so like confined, and I needed, so that's why I moved to the dining room table, so I had more room to spread out. But she wanted to make sure she had room to spread out when she was working from home too. And we actually ended up moving the L shape over here because they don't go in and out of that door, and it only covers up half of it. And then we moved the sofa over here. But this is a pull-out sofa, so it worked out great because they can pull it out, and there's plenty of room for them to pull that out. We just moved the desk chair out of the way, and they can pull that sofa out so it can be a guest room when they need it to be guest room. What we were also thinking through, and part of why we didn't just put a bed in here, is because it probably gets used 3 times a year as a guest room, and newer sofa beds are more comfortable than the old ones used to be. But also, it really is nice to have another place you can sit when you've been sitting in that desk chair all day, working at your laptop. Sometimes you just need a break, right? So if you're on a conference call, you can go sit on the sofa and like take in the conference call from the sofa and just look at the room, look at life, look at your business problems, from a different angle and a different perspective in that room.
It's also nice when you have somebody come in. When one of the kids come down, they need to go over something with you. You can always turn around, and then you've got those seats also for people to sit at. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but if I had a big bed there with all my stuff, I'd have my stuff spread out all over the bed.
Right.
A sofa you can keep nice and clean.
Yeah. So, and we put beautiful drapery on this wall, like it's a whole wall of Rippleful draperies, and a big, beautiful painting that her cousin painted. She wanted to pull blue throughout, because blue is her favorite color. So again, thinking about things that are important to you when you're designing this office space, and then play around. Like I said, we started out with the desk here, then we moved it there. We played around with the layout a little bit until we got it just perfect where we thought it was going to work out. And then once you know kind of how you're going to lay it out, then you've got to start thinking about, well, what are the things that I need, right? What do I need in this space? And then how can I address those needs? We also had a few kind of non-design things that we think are important, and they probably do then influence your design too as you're thinking through your space, right? But when you work from home, kind of since both Debbie is more of a veteran than I am at working from home, but since we're both veterans of working from home, establishing that routine is so important, right? Because
it is, and I know that people think, working from home, I would always get, that's great because you can get up whenever you want, you can do whatever you want, and owning your own business, you don't have any bosses, and that's true to a point. But if you really want to succeed, if for me, what I need to do is I need to get up and get showered, get dressed for the day, and I need to have a routine. Others may find that they don't need to, and they're more successful that way. But if I'm not getting up and around, and I'm only working when I want, frankly, I'm going to find that I have more fun playing than working.
Right. Well, and I think one of the challenges working from home, I'll tell you, one of the things I love the most about it is I can keep laundry going, right? Because it takes 5 minutes to go in and switch it, and then I get back to work. One of the things that I knew when I was finding my spot, I cannot sit anywhere where I can see the kitchen sink, because if there are dishes in the kitchen sink, I will go take it. You just get distracted by the home things that you could be doing. And I think that's especially true for those of us that, we wear the mom hat too, right? Because we're worrying and thinking about, we're multitaskers, we're thinking about those things all day long anyways. But when you're working from home, I mean, those can be huge distractions, right? Huge distractions.
And they're easy distractions because they're safe, they're easy to do. You don't have to think to do them. And sometimes the thinking part, for me, is the tougher part. It's like, okay,
right,
this is a challenge, or I know, I'll go do the laundry. But it is nice being able to keep it going, so that you're not having to do that on the weekends.
Right.
But a lot of people don't understand. You have to be motivated to work at home. You you've got to put your time in, and you do. If you find that you're not a motivated person, it might be easier to go into the office.
Right, right, right. Well, especially when you're your own boss. If you've got a
Right.
boss that's giving you assignments and tasks and kind of holding you accountable, that could be a difference. But especially when you're your own boss, it's challenging. You have to say, now's work time, and I'm going to focus on work.
Right.
I did like Debbie had put together most of these thoughts, and one of the things she said is to make sure you're taking a lunch break. And I do think that's really important, and it's really nice because it's easy to just kind of, I'm sitting here, I'm at home, I'm just going to keep working, 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 working. And there's a reason why we have lunch breaks. And I think that they're valuable, and it's good to step away from a minute and get a good healthy meal and make sure you're taking care of yourself and take a break during the day.
And then the other thing is social media. We all know that that's that deep dark hole that you can very easily get sucked into.
Mm-hmm.
Turn off your notifications, because I don't know about you, but whenever my phone dings, I'm looking. Oh,
Yep.
ding! What is it? And
Mm-hmm.
then
We've all
so
become Pavlov's dogs. We're like,
yep. So it dings. You look at it, and then it's like,
mm-hmm.
oh, let me check that out. And before
Yep.
you know it, 45 minutes have gone past, because while you're doing that, you go on to that link, and then you follow that link, and everything, all of your thought process that you were doing, all of your creativity or the business you were getting done, is now you've got to start all over again.
Yep.
So they do say that you should only check it 2 times a day.
Yeah.
Like morning and night, and that's what the experts say on everything that I read. You should check it 2 times a day, and that's it. Also doing do not disturb with the family. Yep. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
I think this is important too when we're home with our kids, establishing times and systems. I've seen people make signs and other things so that their kids will know, like, right now is a time when you can't come in and bother mom, or can't come in and bother dad because I'm on an important call, or whatever the case may be. So I think that those, especially right now while we're all working in the same space together.
The nice thing though is when the kids do disturb you in this day and age, people understand, because everybody knows everybody's at home.
Right.
20 years ago, I mean, my boys were constantly, I was like this constantly,
right.
Like, be quiet, I'm on the phone.
Right.
But people they understand it a little bit more. And then flex schedule. You know what? If you've got little ones, I know I used to get up early in the morning and I'd work a couple hours before they got up. And then, if you're able, depending if you're able for work, they'd go down for a nap. I'd work a little bit. I'd work a little bit when they were in bed at night. And as opposed to being able to work a full, 8-hour day or whatever, I would have to piecemeal it. A lot of people can't do that because of their job schedule. But if your bosses are flexible, then that may be the only way that you can get some really good thinking and work time in.
I think the only thing that's really important about that, because one of the challenges when you work from home is you're always like, well, I can tackle that later because it's here, right? When you're in an office, you're like, oh, I better hurry and get through everything because at 5 o'clock I'm out of here, right? So you're like, right? At home, you can be like, well, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. I'll do that later. And then next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock at night and you're exhausted because you've had a full day, and that later never comes. So I think like a time box strategy where you say, all right, from this time to this time, I'm setting aside to focus on this. And that's what you do during that time, is really important.
So it kind of comes back to having some form of a schedule again.
Right. Well, and for me as a business owner, Emmy was home with me when I was little and first getting started. And then I quickly realized, I think by the time she was 3, we put her in preschool and daycare because I was not capable of 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. I needed dedicated time to focus on my work because that cute little 3-year-old was very distracting all day.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
had a lot of great memories and time together. And I think we went to I had Fridays off. So Fridays were our special day when she did start daycare and preschool, so that I could balance it because I needed to balance my career and my business that I was excited about getting going, and spend time with the little one. So I think just knowing you too and what your capabilities and your limitations are helps as you're kind of establishing that schedule. All right, so what do I invest in, right? And I think we talked a little bit about that getting into this, which is like, is this temporary? Isn't it temporary?
Hmm.
When do I make an investment? Don't I make an investment? What would I make an investment in? And I think we picked a few things that are important here. A coat of paint, especially if you're going to paint yourself, like a gallon of paint doesn't cost $1 million. And if it's going to make you feel more joyful and happier
Hmm.
in your workspace, then do it. If you decided you were going to take over your formal living room and it was a color you never really liked anyways, and you really love blue, paint the walls blue, right? It will make going to work every day that much happier. And I would say, even if it's if you pick a good color that you're going to love even when it's not your office someday, then why not paint it, right?
I agree with you completely. And actually, you know, during when the whole family's been at home, I've had the kitchen painted, I've had the family room, the laundry room, the powder room, the bedrooms, everything painted except for the live my office
My
and my
office.
husband's office, the living room and the dining room. And those are the two. And so you're saying that, and I'm thinking, yeah. And I keep looking up and thinking, need to change the paint. I want to change the window treatments so much that I want to get done. And I just need to do it. Put it on the
Yep.
list and get it done.
Yep. Yep. I think desk is really important. If you don't have a space that you can work at, and again, it doesn't have to be a permanent desk. It doesn't have to be an expensive desk. But a desk, if you're going to be there long term, get an executive desk, get something that you're really going to love, invest the money in it. It is
Right.
now going to become an office in your home. You're going to be there permanently. Like, make the investment, buy something nice. If it's temporary, just, I think turning a dining room table into your desk is fine, but you have to have a desk space, and it needs to be enough room for you to be able to feel like you can work. If you're like in a little corner, and
Hmm.
then you know that's no fun. That's no fun for
Just,
anybody.
just a place for your files and for your pencils and
Mm,
pens and all of that.
yep.
If you're there permanently, in my eyes, a desk is a must-have if your office is permanent. Rebecca already said chair. Absolutely. I mean, my chair is
Hmm.
comfortable. It swivels, it tilts, whatever I need to do, it works for me.
Yeah. We
So
talk about how short I am all the time, so let's talk about it again. I need one that I can lift up, and then I actually need something to put my feet on so that I can sit comfortably. So,
oh, there you go.
you know,
And I like having arms on mine. I need arms on my chair,
mhm, yeah,
So if you're at a dining room chair, depending on which one it is, a lot of times you don't have the arms.
yeah,
That and then lighting. How
yes,
important is lighting?
yes. We all need to you need to be able to see the work you're doing. You want to feel like, you're not in a cave. So, especially if you don't have a lot of natural light, that comes into the room, make sure at a minimum you've got real lighting. And then let's think about it as our days are going to start getting shorter. I hate to say that because that always
Oh
makes
yeah.
me sad. But,
Oh,
when you get into December and January and at 5 o'clock it's dark, if you work till 6, you need good lighting. The sun isn't going to carry you anymore in those last few hours of your work day. Yeah, so lighting is really important. I think along the same lines of lighting is window coverings, right?
absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you're if you're in there working until later at night, you're now on a fishbowl. So not only do you need shades and blinds to keep the sun glare off your computer, but you also don't want to be in a fishbowl later at night. But for me
That's
personally,
funny that you said that, Debbie, because more often than not, when I've done window treatments for an office, it's been because they tend to be someone that works late at night and they just don't like that feeling of like someone watching them while they're sitting there working.
okay.
Um, And now all of a sudden that people are not just working late at night and on the weekends, now all of a sudden I'm getting the calls of like, oh my gosh, the glare in my office on my computer screen is so bad in the afternoon. And I had no idea because I never worked here in the afternoon.
And those are the calls that I'm getting. That's why I led with that,
Right,
you know. I
right,
told you that the quarter round windows that I'm in the process of
right.
working with a client to cover, because all the way up there on the Palladian windows has nothing to do with privacy whatsoever. It has everything to do with the sun shining in and the glare on her computer.
Yes, yes, yeah. And whether that's that early morning sun or the late afternoon sun, that can be really bothersome when you're trying to work.
Oh
Next thing
yeah.
you know, you've scooted over to a little corner of your desk to try to get out of that sunlight. And then I would say, from a pretty perspective too, if it's a permanent office that you're going to be in for a while and you want to add draperies or cornice board or valance or something pretty just to give you something pretty to look out in that room, go for it.
You know,
Um,
I'm all about that too. You know, just
I
the
know.
pattern, just, making it look pretty.
Yeah.
And then we've got seating, organization, things that make you happy,
Yeah.
all of that. That's all important things
Yeah.
that
I think
we need to
organization,
take
and
into consideration.
you don't have to go like way over, you don't have to go and like buy some fancy closet system, or like it doesn't have to be way over the top. One of those wire file systems that you can have a couple files easy to get to right on your desk, and a cup for your pens and pencils, just things like that that allow you to easily get to the stuff that you use the most is probably most important, and I would say the highest priority when you're thinking about organizing things. I'm a visual person. Surprise, surprise, right? So I like to have like a board where I can put things and have quick references, and I can see things quickly and easily. So, if you've got some wall space that you can put a bulletin board or a whiteboard or something where you can kind of quickly look at your priorities for the day or whatever it may be, that can be really nice and help from an organizational perspective too.
Good idea.
And they have pretty ones, like they have like glass whiteboards now that look really
Hmm.
cool. It doesn't have to all look so officey.
So Zooming, I don't know. Well, I know that you have a tremendous amount of Zoom calls, Rebecca, with your clients. I mean, with all of us now that we're all at home, we're Zooming our appointments before we go and see people.
Yeah.
Going through and getting to see what their windows look like, the sizes, the colors of the house, things like that. No matter what you're doing, if you're doing Zoom calls, you want to make sure, well, that you look decent. I think that's a pretty important one. You don't need to be wearing a suit and tie maybe, but you don't need to look like you just rolled out of bed. And if you're not wearing the pants, I'm sure that you all saw the picture of the newscaster that had
Yes.
the suit tie on and everything, and he was in his boxers.
Yep.
So
Yep.
just take that into consideration. I would like to, Rebecca's background looks very nice. Mine,
Oh.
not so much, but I'm in the process. So,
And I do think the background, especially if you're meeting with clients and things like that, having a nice background. We put this picture up here. This is a nice, simple one. It's just got a nice little gallery wall. So if that was behind you, that would just look like a nice, soothing background. I don't think you have to go like crazy over the top, but just something that reflects, and especially if you're working with clients and you're selling and things like that, you probably want something that reflects you and your style and who you are, so they get to know you as you're working with them.
I
um,
saw a picture of it was somebody's workspace, and it was in the very corner of their bedroom, and we're talking, it was probably like a 3 foot by, but not even 3 foot, probably like 2.5 by 4 foot area. And it was
uh-huh.
just enough room for them to have their laptop on a desk and behind them a tiny little table, and they had like a picture and flowers on it and a drapery next to them. Well, it looked like it was a full office. It looked like they
Yeah.
were in a full office. And then they stepped back and showed the picture, and it was their bedroom. And it was like the teeniest little area in their bedroom. So keep in mind, with Zoom, you can trick people's eyes. The ring light that Rebecca was graceful enough to send me, because I didn't even know about them, when she said, "You're so dark, you can barely see you." And so ring lights are very important for people that are not up to speed on, a lot of the technology. And lifting your laptop up on books so that it's a little bit higher, so that your face is, centered, or in the picture and not all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Also turning off the phone, your ringers and notifications, things like that.
Yep.
Happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you many times too,
Yes.
where the phone goes off. It's like, ah.
Yep. And I think we're all spending a lot of time Zooming, and I expect that will continue at least for the next 6 months. We're actually really enjoying being able to do Zooms with our clients initially, because we can really get to know each other, and there's a lot that we can accomplish that then we cut down on exposure and have a shorter follow-up meeting when we're finalizing designs and getting measurements. But it's been a great technology, and I know we're all heavily using it right now.
Yeah, just getting pictures of, getting a view of your client's home and things like that. It's been terrific.
Yeah.
So
I love
other
this
considerations. Oh, what were you saying?
I love the first one. Work outside when you're able. Again, I think sometimes, just especially when you're in your home. Now you're in your home all day, right? So I get up, I shower, I have breakfast, I have my coffee, I'm in my house. I walk over to my office in my house, right? I have lunch in my house. Like, you're in your house all day. So I think that if you've got an outdoor space, especially right now, like we're going to get into September and there's going to be lots of gorgeous days. And if you've got an afternoon where you can sit out on your deck with your laptop and work for a little bit, God, isn't that part of the beauty of being able to work from home? And I think that sort of change of scenery can be healthy for all of us, right?
Yes, and keeping yourself healthy, taking a walk while you're on the phone, talking with coworkers, accounts, business partners, getting up and taking walks.
Yeah.
Will definitely help, keeps you healthy. And that's something that I'm still working on. It's really important.
My husband and I, for a while, we kind of, because I'm gone at appointments a lot, but we had gotten into a habit where that's kind of how we ended our work day, is we went for a walk. And that allowed us to kind of have that separation between home and work. And we go for a walk at the end of our day, and that's kind of, we could vent to each other and decompress and have a nice little walk and make that be the end of our day.
That sounds a little bit healthier than ours, which is sit down and have a glass of wine.
I mean, we eventually get to that too, but another thing, it's been interesting as I've been in clients' homes doing installs lately, because now that they're at home, they all had their thermostat set to be like warmer during the day for their air conditioning not to run all day, because they're normally not home. And I was in a client's the other day, and the husband even didn't have a shirt on working because it was so warm in the house. And all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my gosh, why don't we change that?" Wait,
did you just say you didn't have a shirt on while you were working?
The husband didn't have a shirt on.
Oh, okay.
Working. But I think that's one of those things, you set your thermostat a certain way, knowing everybody's gone during the day, and now you're not. Don't be uncomfortable at home working. There's no need to be uncomfortable at home working. There's nothing worse than being too hot or too cold when you're trying to get work done, right? So
I agree.
Go on. Yes. Well, and then just an adjustable standing desk. Those are really very cool. And you can either buy them as whole desks, or you can buy something that you actually set on top of your existing desk that allows you to so you can stand up part of the day and sit down part of the day. And those are really popular lately.
So I had an adjustable one that sat on top of my desk. Didn't really like it, but I think if it was electric, I would. Because just the, me having to change it and stuff, I found I didn't really adjust it the way I would if it was electric.
Okay.
And they do say that standing is so important now. Sitting is like, equal almost to smoking. You need to get up and walk around. But stability balls, I think that's pretty cool also. Replacing your chair with that great big ball and just balancing on it. I think that I had read that, that was an option, and keep thinking that I'd like to get one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything that just kind of allows you to change things up, move a little bit, adjust. I think those are the things that we talk about when we talk about our other considerations here, right?
And then we talked about, scheduling time for breaks. We already talked about that. And, and no, I think that's good. Next.
All right. So, I think here are nice, I liked some of these. I think all of these solutions are great because they're all sort of space saving solutions, yet you still have a lot of room to work. Do you know what I mean? They're not big executive L desks, they're fashionable. And yet, if you're going to be working permanently, then doing some type of built-in is really a nice solution. I love this built-in. It's gorgeous, and it's got all those fun clean lines.
I do too. And as a matter of fact, when I saw that, I thought, oh, I want to change my office. That's
there you go.
That's look it. Right there. That's my inspiration.
But I think if it's going to be temporary, even just a simple table like this, you can get it on Wayfair. It's not really expensive, but it gives you a workspace. It gives you a corner of your world that you can say, this is where I do my work. And then this one's nice too, because it doesn't take up a ton of room. However, you get that extra shelving in there to kind of keep things organized and have right at your fingertips. And I think something like that provides a really nice solution. Uh-oh.
I said it looks like a piece of artwork.
Yes.
I really like that. All right. Any questions?
Oops.
But you know what? We're running. Okay. So, questions, Rebecca? So what do you recommend when it is really, really bright?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear that?
No, what did you say? Sorry.
What do you recommend when it is really, really bright in an office?
I think when it's really bright, I think some nice options are solar shades or some sort of sheer shade that you're not necessarily closing yourself off from. If you're not looking for privacy, you're not necessarily closing yourself off from the outside world. You can still see out, but you would be surprised how much glare is reduced with a solar shade. I actually do not. I need to add solar shades on these windows.
So do you have shades with your draperies, or are they not draperies?
I don't. There's just draperies right now. That is actually something that I need to add on there. But I would say the other thing, because we want to keep things, generally want to keep things light and bright in an office. If you want to be able to have privacy and you don't want to have to layer shades, a cellular shade or a roller shade that is light filtering, so you still get, even when it's closed, it'll still feel like bright and sunny in there, but you'll have more privacy at night. Those are always a nice option as well.
I love the solar shade just because, like Rebecca said, you are able to see out. And while you're home, just for health reasons, just to be able to see outside, not feel like you're closed in a box.
Yep.
Get as much natural light as possible. I thank everybody for joining us.
Yes.
second and fourth Monday at noon.
Yep.
You
Yep.
can find us on Coffee and Curtains, and you can also find us on YouTube afterwards. We always post our shows, and I know that people like to go back and check them out. And if you have any questions, please call us or email us, and we're also open for any suggestions. Rebecca, did you look up what we're doing in 2 weeks? Because I didn't.
Yep. So September is going to be decorating for the holidays, and we're going to break it up into a 2-part series. So we'll be talking about decorating for the holidays, which is really sort of exciting. I'm going to also throw this out there, Debbie, because based on the jobs Debbie and I do normally at this time of year, we really start to ramp up for the holidays and lots of work. And I know not as many people are going to be probably hosting big gatherings this year, but that might even make it even more of a reason why you'd want to make your dining room special before Thanksgiving, or get your family room just the way you want it before Christmas, so that all of your pictures include that beautiful space, and then you don't have the stress next year of getting it ready before you have your big gatherings.
Absolutely. Do it now while you can.
Right. Now is a great time to do it. And I would also say, if you do want it in time for the holidays, I don't know about you, Debbie, but usually by about mid-October, I'm starting to schedule into the next calendar year. So,
absolutely. We're on the same schedule, on the same page, because everything really starts ramping up starting from about 2 weeks ago. So give us a ring. We are here. We'd love to help you.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.